It is not life that exhausts you. It is your own mind that does. Most of our worries, insecurities, and anger do not come from what is happening, but from the way we think about it. More than 2,000 years ago, Seneca looked directly at this truth and left behind short sentences simple in form, yet powerful enough to slow the human mind. In this video, we will analyze each quote, organize them into clear Stoic groups of thought, and after each group, you will be given very specific exercises to apply immediately in real life. Not to become cold, but to become calmer in the midst of difficult days. If you have ever overthought, let emotions pull you along, or felt exhausted because you could not control your reactions, stay. We begin with the place where most pain is born, the mind. Before talking about emotional control, we must face an uncomfortable truth. Much of our pain does not come from circumstances. It comes from the way the mind interprets those circumstances. Seneca called this the most dangerous trap of the human mind. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We often imagine outcomes far worse than what actually happens. This is because we constantly carry worry, the belief that something bad is waiting ahead. Sometimes we worry excessively. Remember one thing: what comes will come. You cannot change the outcome, but you can change the way you receive it. Remain optimistic. Think carefully about this. Most of the time you have not lost your job, yet you have lost sleep, you have not failed, yet you already feel useless, nothing bad has happened. Yet you have lived inside it for days. Seneca does not deny that suffering is real. He only points out one thing: the mind always runs ahead of reality, and more often than not, it runs toward the worst. We do not suffer only because something happens. We also suffer because we ask, what if it gets worse? What if I cannot endure it? What if people think badly of me? That is pain that has never existed yet. It wears us down every day. He who fears suffering suffers twice. The first time when nothing has happened but you are afraid. The second time when it actually happens, if it happens at all. What Seneca is saying is this: fear does not help you avoid pain. It only helps you rehearse pain in advance. And the irony is, most of the things we fear never arrive. Have you ever worried for months about a speech, felt tense for days, before a meeting feared an uncertain outcome, and when it was over, you realized it wasn't as bad as I imagined? The problem is this: your mind paid the price too early. Pain passes faster when the mind does not resist it. This is a deeply Stoic idea, and a very difficult one to practice, because the natural human reflex is to fight pain, deny it, ask, why me? But Seneca observed something subtle: pain plus resistance equal longer suffering. When you say, this should not have happened, I cannot endure this, I hate this feeling, you are keeping pain alive in the mind. But when you admit this is difficult, I do not like it, but I can endure it, pain begins to lose its power over you. The present moment is light enough if we do not load it with fear. The present moment is already light if we do not burden it with fear. This moment, right now as you are listening to this video, you may not be okay, but you are still breathing, you are still here. Seneca reminds us the present is rarely unbearable. What makes it heavy is what has not yet happened. We do not live in today. We live in an imagined tomorrow, an imagined failure, the imagined judgment of others. And then we ask, why am I always tired? Practical exercises. Group Exercise 1. Separate reality from imagination. When you feel anxious, write down what is actually happening. What am I adding in my imagination, just writing it down? You will see that most of the pain lies in the second line. Exercise 2, the Stoic question. Whenever fear arises, ask yourself, if this happens, is it truly unbearable? No need to answer positively, just answer honestly. Exercise 3, return to the present. For 60 seconds, breathe deeply, look around, name 3 things you can see. Remind yourself, right now I am still okay. When you understand that the mind can create pain, you regain part of your control. But how do we control it? Once you understand that most pain originates in the mind, the next natural question is, who is steering this mind, you or your emotions? Seneca believed this is the line between a free person and one dragged by life. Hard times reveal whether we command our mind or our mind commands us. When things go smoothly, everyone appears calm. But when you are criticized, you are rejected, or things do not go as planned, only then do you see whether you choose your response or simply react by habit. Anger ignites quickly. Fear takes over the mind in seconds. Seneca does not blame this. He only reminds us the first moment is reaction, the next moment is choice. Calm begins with the second moment. No one can honestly claim to remain calm in all situations. You are no exception. Only when events occur do you test your ability to restrain yourself and remain composed. That is human nature. No one escapes it except God and the Stoic ideal. No storm can disturb a soul that has learned to govern itself. Life is like the weather. There are sunny days. There are storms. You cannot command the sky, but you can build a stronger house, learn how to stand in the wind. Self-control is that shelter. A calm person is not someone with fewer problems. It is someone who does not let every problem pull the mind away, does not let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Seneca called this the quietest form of human strength. Calm is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of control. This is where many people misunderstand. Calm does not mean no emotion. no sadness, no anger. Calm means emotion is present, but it does not hold the steering wheel. You may feel sadness, but you do not allow it to make you say words that damage relationships, make you abandon what truly matters. You allow emotion to exist, but you do not give it authority. True calm comes from knowing that nothing external owns your peace. True calm comes from understanding that nothing external can own your peace. If your peace depends on the praise of others, the behavior of people, or the outcome of events, then you live in constant threat. Seneca speaks plainly. What you give control to will eventually control you. When you understand that the world can be chaotic, people can be unpredictable, circumstances can be unfair, but your response belongs to you. Calm is no longer a luxury. It becomes a skill. Practical exercises. Group 2, Exercise 1. The second moment. When strong emotion appears, do not react immediately. Count 3 slow breaths. Tell yourself, reaction is natural. Response is a choice. Exercise 2. The circle of control. When tension arises, ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go. If yes, act but without panic. Exercise 3. Reclaiming power. Write down what has recently disturbed your calm, then ask, am I giving control of my mind to this? Simply noticing it already returns part of your strength. When you begin to master the mind, you will realize one thing. Strong emotions do not need to be suppressed. They only need to be answered by reason. When people speak of Stoic philosophy, many immediately imagine one thing: a person without emotion, a cold person, someone who is always fine. But Seneca never taught this. He understood clearly human beings cannot live without emotion. The real question is who speaks last, emotion or reason? A calm mind is not found by avoiding hardship, but by meeting it with reason. Avoidance does not bring peace. It only delays growth. Seneca recognized this clearly. Problems avoided grow larger in the mind, emotions suppressed erupt more violently later. Reason is not meant to escape hardship. Reason exists to stand before it and ask, how will I handle this? A calm person is not one with fewer problems, but one who does not panic when problems appear, does not allow emotion to occupy the entire space of thought. They enter into dialogue with circumstances instead of fighting them. The greatest remedy for anger and fear is delay and reflection. Anger is fast. Fear is the same. In just a few seconds, they can destroy a relationship, make us say words that cannot be taken back, or push us into decisions we later pay for. Seneca does not say, do not be angry, do not be afraid. He says only one thing: do not rush. Slowing down is not weakness. Slowing down is self-protection from our worst decisions. When you delay your reaction, emotion cools, reason finds space to speak, and very often, you no longer want to react the way you first intended. To remain calm is not weakness. It is the discipline of strength. Society teaches us that reacting quickly is strength, responding immediately is confidence, raising one's voice is not being looked down upon. But Seneca saw the opposite. True strength belongs to the person who feels emotion rise, but does not let it overflow, is provoked, but is not dragged away. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can react impulsively. But remaining calm when insulted, keeping reason, when afraid, choosing silence, when reflection is needed. That is inner discipline, and it is far more difficult. Practical exercises. Group 3, Exercise 1. The Stoic pause when strong emotion appears. Do not speak. Do not text. Do not decide. Wait 10 minutes. Ask. If I react from this emotion, will I regret it one day later? Exercise 2. Writing to slow the mind. Take paper or your phone notes and write. What is making me angry? Afraid. What is the worst outcome I am imagining? Once written, the emotion already slows by one step. Exercise 3. The outsider's view. Ask yourself, if this were a friend's problem, what would I advise them? Reason is often very clear when it is not clouded by personal emotion. When you learn to slow down and reflect, you begin to realize not everything requires a reaction, and not everything that happens needs to be treated as a tragedy. But there is a deeper step still. What happens when we stop resisting fate? There is a familiar kind of exhaustion, not caused by difficulty itself, but by the silent thought, this should not have happened. That thought is what truly drains us. Seneca looked directly at this without avoidance, without false comfort. Misfortune weighs heaviest on those who think it should not have happened. It is not the event that breaks us. It is the inner argument, why me? If only I had done things differently. This is unfair. When you fight reality, you fight something that cannot be defeated. And the result is this: you are exhausted before you even stand up. Seneca does not say you must like adversity. He says only this: do not add another layer of suffering by denying that it has already occurred. Most people secretly believe something bad cannot happen to them. It happens only to others. And when it does happen, they cry. How could this happen to me? This is impossible to accept. Yet it happens all the same. What we can do is place ourselves in adversity beforehand. When you stop arguing with fate, peace begins. What does it mean to argue with fate? It is when you replay the past endlessly. You imagine endless, if only, scenarios. You refuse to accept what has occurred. But fate does not listen to explanations. The moment you say, "This has happened, I do not like it, but I accept it," you do not become weaker. You release an enormous amount of energy. Energy once spent resisting can now be used to move forward. He remains calm who has already accepted loss in advance. This is a difficult sentence, but a true one. We suffer not only because of loss, but because we believe we will never lose. Lose people, lose work, lose status, lose the image of ourselves. Seneca is not pessimistic. He simply sees life as it is. Accepting the possibility of loss does not make you fearful. It makes you more appreciative and less panicked when hardship comes. You are no longer shocked by what has always been possible. Practical exercises. Group 4. Exercise 1. Naming reality. When something goes wrong, say quietly, "This has happened." Denying it does not help. Simply naming reality reduces the mind's struggle. Exercise 2. Silent pre-acceptance. Each evening, think of one thing you fear losing. Do not panic. Simply acknowledge, if this happens, I will still find a way to live. This is not pessimism. It is inner preparation. Exercise 3. Redirecting energy. Instead of regretting what cannot be changed, what can I do right now? Acceptance is not the end of action. It is the beginning of the right action. When you stop resisting fate, you begin to see something clearly. Adversity is not only something to endure, it is also a form of training. After you have understood pain arises from the mind, learn to master reactions slowed down through reason and accepted reality as it is. The next question is no longer, how do I avoid adversity, but how do I prevent adversity from becoming meaningless? Seneca gives a direct answer. A disciplined mind turns adversity into training. The same event, one person collapses, another grows. The difference is not circumstance. It is inner discipline. The Stoic does not see hardship as punishment. They see it as training for patience, training for self-control, training for courage. Anger appears, training in silence. Fear appears, training in stillness and reflection. Loss appears, training in letting go. Not to become numb, but to become resilient. The wise person prepares the mind before fate tests it. Many people seek philosophy only after they collapse. But Seneca says preparing after disaster is damage control. Preparing before disaster is wisdom. The Stoic trains by enduring mild cold, accepting controlled discomfort, not indulging every desire. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they refuse to panic when suffering arrives. Nothing is unbearable when the mind refuses to call it so. Many times we collapse, not because the burden is too heavy, but because we tell ourselves, "I cannot endure this." Seneca reveals a hard truth. The mind names its limits and then believes its own words. When you change the inner sentence from "I cannot endure this" to "I do not like this, but I can endure it," what changes is not the situation. What changes is your capacity. Practical exercises. Group 5. Exercise 1. Voluntary difficulty. Each day choose one mild discomfort. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Take a cool shower. Do not complain for one day, not to punish yourself, but to train the mind to tolerate inconvenience. Exercise 2. Change inner language. When difficulty arises, avoid "I cannot endure this." Replace it with "I am enduring this." It sounds small, but it completely changes posture toward life. Exercise 3. Viewing adversity as training. Whenever something difficult appears, ask, "What is this training me for?" No need for a beautiful answer, only an honest one. When you train the inner life daily, you realize something profound. What causes prolonged suffering is not adversity, but false expectations about life. After everything we have walked through, one simple truth remains: we do not suffer because life is hard. We suffer because we believe it should be easier. Seneca understood this early, and he concluded the philosophy of calm not with technique, but with attitude. What matters is not what happens to us, but how we receive it. What matters is not the event, but how we meet it. You and another person may experience the same hardship. One collapses, the other grows. The difference is not circumstance, it is attitude. Seneca reminds us you do not choose the cards, but you always choose how to play them. Do not demand that events happen as you wish to meet them wisely. Much anxiety comes from the silent demand. Things must go according to my plan, but life signs no contract with anyone. Seneca does not tell us to abandon desire. He tells us not to make peace a hostage to outcomes. When you shift from "I need this to happen" to "I will do my best and be ready to receive the result," you immediately feel lighter. The mind that expects little is rarely disturbed. This sentence does not teach small living. It teaches free and realistic living. Expecting too much from others' outcomes recognition is the fastest way to lose calm. The Stoic does not ask life to be kind. He asks only to be strong enough to pass through it. Practical exercises. Group 6. Exercise 1. Adjusting expectations. Each morning tell yourself, "Today may not be easy, and I accept that." Simple words, powerful protection. Exercise 2. Separate effort from outcome before acting. Ask, What is within my control? Focus fully there. Release the rest. Exercise 3. Receiving instead of resisting. At the end of the day, ask, what did I resist today? If I had accepted it earlier, would I have felt lighter? No self-blame, only observation and learning. Seneca never promised an easy life. He promised only this: if you train the mind correctly, no matter how hard life becomes, it will not crush you. Calm is not a gift. It is a capacity, and that capacity can be trained every day. If this video helped you see your mind a little more clearly, take time to practice one exercise today. Stoic philosophy only begins to matter when it is lived. If you are still listening, you may have realized something important. Life has not become gentler, but you can become stronger. That is what Seneca never promised theatrically. He never said you would avoid loss, anxiety, or hardship. He said only this: you do not need to let them break you. 2,000 years have passed, yet these words remain not to be admired, but to be practiced. If you slow down by one breath, resist reality a little less, and reclaim control over your reactions, you have already gone far. If today you do not remember all the quotes, that is fine. Remember just one thing: calm does not come from the world changing. It comes from changing how you face the world. If this video gave you a moment of slowness, a new thought, or simply the feeling of being understood, leave a comment, not for the algorithm, but for yourself. And if you wish to continue training the mind, we will meet again in further reflections. May your day be lighter, not because life is easier, but because your mind is steadier.